I wanted to cover a few important points with the training on communication. Specifically, we trained on guys like Jeremy Miner and the neuro emotional persuasion questions. It's more of just like getting people to think, getting them to give you the answer, and it helps be different and separate yourself from like all the other people that are out there that are just kind of not really well informed with how they're doing things. I would say any call you can make is better than no call, but as you're training, you can learn how to work with people in a smoother way than to bulldoze or to aggressively push in a way that just really doesn't not only get you anywhere productive, but it gets you into a worse position for multiple reasons. But the point of this video is to go over a few of the methods that I wanted to break down. There's a script training that Dana Nisa does on YouTube here. You can look it up yourself. It's right here on her channel. And I like YouTube Premium. I don't have to deal with all the ads. And I like to use the Loom app, not just the extension or the desktop version, because it allows me to go from screen to screen with no interruptions. So a couple of things that I just wanted to go over here that I took away from this 90-minute script training is basically being able to overcome these objectives, the objections, be smooth, have good discovery questions, and really let's go into really the beginning portion, because I feel like that is where if you can get that moving, things are going to go a lot better. Obviously talking to more people, getting into more conversations. So master the first 30 seconds. I don't have time, or basically dealing with like these different things, right? Your tone actually does matter, okay? How you say things is important. Just as like, being calm, understanding of them, like empathetic is being able to relate and understand where they're coming from. Being neutral, right? You don't have to accept excuses, right? Avoid believing that smoke screens are going to be the thing that's like, oh, I must live and die by what's being said here. Some people just don't trust you and they just want to get off the phone with you, and that's understandable because they probably get a lot of calls. Discovery is key, right? So open-ended questions to understand the prospect's motivations and the pain points, right? So some of the things that I broke down were a bit further in here. I just wanted to pull it up, and I'm going to take these notes and basically just kind of provide a bit of a summary over here. And I'm going to provide it right here on ChatGPT for you. Only you got to know how to use ChatGPT. Now, just to give you an example, right? I would rather listen to Dana Nisa than I would Jeremy Miner. Why? Because Dana Nisa paid Jeremy Miner to help her build her script, and she sold more life insurance than Jeremy Miner. So there's little things that sales trainers do that are great, and you can apply them to any industry. That's absolutely true. However, there are mistakes that they'll make in trying to be, I think some people, would argue with me about this. If Jeremy was listening to me talking right now, Jeremy Miner, I'm not saying I'm better than Jeremy Miner. I'm not saying I know more than him. I'm sure he's much more masterful at sales than I am. I have no doubt about that. But when it comes to final expense telesales, I see things there that I really like what he does, most of it, right? But to say that I love 100% of everything that he says to do in final expense, no. But when I listen to Dana, the little pieces that Jeremy's missing, she fills it in because she's sold more final expense. I think that she understands the overall mindset of these buyers in this demographic with this product better than he does. But she uses his techniques extremely well. So I really like her approach on how she applies some different aspects here, okay? Now, just because someone is a really great salesperson and they've been in the trenches more recently, they've been teaching more versus recruiting. For example, I think that she's a great trainer, sales manager, etc. I don't know her track record with building a team. For example, David Price, great track record with building a team. Sales training, I'm not going to rate that because we mostly don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, we don't, it's really about consistency and activity, and that's how you get great anyway. So really what it really comes down to is training, consistency, activity. You can learn it all yourself or you can learn from other people. At this particular point in time, we would like to refer to this specific training right now. And I've gone through all the thoughts and the process on why, how, what, when, where. Like, I've just really dissected. If you can go out and find one thing, here it is, right? For example, you're going to see things like, I don't have time, call me back, I already took care of it, I'm not interested. You want to keep these guys on the phone, and people can say, like, that's not a problem at all. I know you weren't expecting my call. Do you have just a minute to see if it even makes sense for me to call you back later? Okay, that could have been better, but, it's drilling, right? Because this is not something I'm used to saying it like this. I say it a different way, but that's not a problem at all. I know you weren't expecting my call, Miss Jones, but did you have just a quick minute to see if it even makes sense for me to call you back later? That's how I would ask it, that tone and the delivery. It's 50% of what you say and 50% of how you say it, right? Don't ask how you're doing. I mean, because really, it's if you know the person, sure. If you don't know them, they just want to know who you are. Who are you? Why are you calling me, right? And look, you don't have to acknowledge their name, but you can say, hey, Dana, this is Griffin. You could say, how you doing if you know them, right? If you don't know them, skip the how are you doing. Get right into, hey, I was giving you a quick call here from the other day. You might remember wanting to see what your options were to protect your family. In this case, you mentioned Sarah would be your beneficiary. Does that ring a bell? I'm not saying that's the perfect way to get into the call, but it is a way and it works for me. So that's what I do. They're like, I already took care of it. That's a very common objection. You don't need to go into who is it with and what kind of coverage is it? Like, hey, that's not a problem. How long ago did you get it? And then, you have a follow-up, which you can get into in a minute, within the minute is, would it be reasonable to offer you just one more estimate? I don't like the word quote. Could I give you one more number just so you can see it? Make sure you have the best possible policy that you can get. You're going to be stuck with this thing for life. See, there's little things I can do that I'll throw in there, if depending on the mood, right? Hey, you're going to be stuck with this one for life. We might as well make sure it's good for the rest of your days. You know what I mean? And I did get your request. I mean, you are Deborah, right? Yeah, Deborah Bush. Okay, and you do live over at 103 South Cherry Street. Yeah. And your birthday is blah, 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 and da, right? And they're like, yeah, okay, well, look, I would be doing a disservice for you if I didn't at least, make sure. No, we're good. I totally got it. Like, I'm not interested anymore. I've got it taken care of. I'm so sorry. Were you not interested because you, and this is like kind of a different situation, but you have things you can play with. This part of I'm not interested is the one that they gave you initially. And I'm so sorry. Were you not interested because you thought it was unaffordable or because you thought you couldn't qualify? So I would listen to the full training because the in-between gaps is there. I just wanted to give you a few quick pieces of ammo. We can dive into this deeper. Again, I'm not going to take credit for this, but look, we all learn from other people. I've been doing this for 6 years. We've all taken pieces away. Dana's done podcasts with my prior managers and multiple people I've been connected to. And the quite honest truth is that she learned from Jeremy Miner, so I'm telling you I'm learning a little bit here from her and applying what she's done successfully. And we can use this information instead of just getting beat up in the face and having to do 300 rejections before you figure out, like, I'm going to change this and say this, right? You can use what works with other people and shorten your learning curve. Okay, so that's the purpose of this video. Just a quick, it's a quick 10-minute video on the greeting and objections and where to train, where to learn from, and there's just a little bit of data on that. You want to be able to say this stuff out loud, and you want to know the theory as well as the practical. Obviously, you know, you're going to hear, because people don't really know how to study, if we're being honest, but no one ever gives you a solution on how to study. But what I'm going to share with you is this. You need to go out there and you need to get punched in the face, and you need to do. And you need to be consistent, and you need to be on the phones, and you need to make calls. And that needs to be the bulk of your day. But you need to study a little bit of the theory, the reason why, and the how, and the what in between. And that's going to help you put your application into a better application. You're going to be able to do more effectively, and you're going to get more out of your time. So theory is the learning and the why and the how, and then the practical is the doing aspect. Your work is to be on the phone with clients. That's your job. And when you're not on your job, like for example, when you're in war, you're not going to stop in the middle of a battle and sharpen your sword. You see the guys all waiting for the war. The war's coming. They know it's on its way. They're sharpening their sword. And then, you know, they're spending a lot of time with their other sword, their training sword, and they're just swinging that thing, man. They're practicing. But right before the storm, they're like listening to, they're doing their thing. They're learning. They're listening a little bit. Okay, great. Let's jump out there. We're in action. You know what I mean? For most of the time, we're in action. We're doing. So these are just a couple of strategies you can use when you're trying to learn, okay? But get out there, and you got to get punched in the face a few times. And then when you go to listen and you learn the theory, it's going to stick better. It's going to make more sense. And that's my 2 cents for today.